last time we were doing the Proving Grounds 3, which is the last Proving Grounds for us to do. But this is a new day on my game here, so what I'm going to do first is visit the old man, visit my castle, and then we'll move on to Proving Grounds. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. Let's go. So yeah, I'm going to travel to South Traglen, to Goblin Claw Inn, visit the inn, enter the inn, go talk to the old man. Yes, we're here again for the battle. Oh, we're in frickin' pink territory. It's just dangerous territory. But my horn lowers the difficulty because my horn's good against dead things. My gosh, how many of these freaking things I have to do? I feel like I've done it 11 times already. Apparently not. So we go to southeast, to Tridmore, to my castle. We're gonna say hi to Candles. What happened? No, to my castle. Where we say hi to Candles. And then we're gonna improve my upgrades. From sickness and hell, death to us part. This is what's going on in my mind right now, in case you're wondering. Those are the words you said from the start. Now that you say that you're leaving me, I don't get that part. Was your lover and your secretary? Alright, we've upgraded my castle. We're going to do some new ones next time because we've upgraded everything in here. So that's cool. We'll save it. We're out of money. Wow. That's a lot of money to upgrade my castle. Alright, we're going to travel back to southwest, to Hawklore, to, in Hawklore, we're going to go to the windowless room, get my experience bonus, which is going to be tiny, but I'll take it. And then we're going to hit the Proving Grounds. So yeah, we're in Proving Grounds 3, Shadow over Stonegate. So it's about Stonegate. Protector Garwin Silverfoot. We're in part 2. No, we're in part 3. Okay, good. So, yeah, that went fast, but we're here. We're going in the company of wolves. Let's go. You make great haste heading west along the road leading from Lookout Ridge back to Stonegate. The encounter in the Hilltop Graveyard and the episode in the Ancient Crypt have given you cause for great concern. You now seek to return to town at once and inform Garwin of your discovery. However, as you near the outskirts of town, a sudden ravenous snarl from behind serves to alert you to the unwelcome arrival of the enemy. You spin about to find yourself confronted by a pack of skeletal wolves. The 7 vicious undead canines gnash their teeth and growl as they quickly move to encircle you, their heads lowered in preparation for what appears to be an imminent attack. You firmly plant your feet and prepare for combat. One of the wolves suddenly lunges for your throat. Wow, we're going for the kill. Me too. Dead. Get my water. Two of the remaining wolves leap to attack quickly, replacing their shattered and defeated undead kin. Now, yeah, there was like 7 of them, huh? The 4 remaining wolves launch a coordinated attack, snarling savagely as their cruel fangs seek to tear into your flesh. There is little time to save your victory. Lopping out of the woods to your left, its fleshless spine at a level with your waist is a massive skeletal wolf. The darting creature makes no sound as it bounds in your direction, bearing down on you with an unnerving speed. You prepare yourself to engage the massive undead wolf, who is now dead. The wolf crashes to the road, its splintered bones join the shattered remains of its brethren already surrounding your feet. An unsettling feeling suddenly overcomes you, as if you're being watched. You turn to your left, just as the hindquarters of a large black wolf slip into the brush at the edge of the forest. You quickly rush over to the side of the road and peer into the woods, but the black wolf is nowhere to be seen. Your eyes are suddenly drawn to the dark shape about 20 yards in From the edge of the forest is the wide, shadowy mouth of the cave. You step into the forest and swiftly make your way through the trees to the mouth of the cave. The ground outside the cave's gaping maw bears the signs of heavy foot traffic, and you have little doubt that you've come upon the lair of the undead wolves that assailed you on the road. Cautiously, with your every sense alert for the first sign of danger, you step into the dark cave. An unsettling silence seems to surround you as you step over the scavenged remains of the countless small animals that listen for the cave. We've hit a cave, you guys, and we've got 7 wolves. We can take 7 any time. It's one at a time, and nobody likes that. Proceed with all alpha skeletal wolf. We're proceeding with all due caution. Oh, 5 rotting wolves. To the north. Okay. To the east. To the east, I say. Nothing's going on in the east. 6 rotting wolves. No, thank you. 7 skeletal wolves. Would you prefer rotting wolves or skeletal wolves? I think skeletal, because they're least likely to be. The large undead wolf drops to the floor of the cave. You're last able to catch your breath. After making certain no further imminent threats lurk in the nearby shadows, you want to get set off through the cave. So yeah, I think skeletal, because they won't stink as much. It's one thing I'm learning about reading closely in this game, is that everywhere stinks. So why would you want to go anywhere as an adventurer? You step into the broad stone chamber and find yourself greeted by a large pack of undead wolves. A dozen rotting beasts rise up off their haunches, snarling viciously as they move towards you, their heads lowered and their hollow eye sockets fixed on you. 5 of the wolves rush forward, savagely gnashing their fangs as they rapidly bear down on you. And now they're dead. You step back from the carnage and steel yourself for the next wave as the remaining 7 wolves leap over the carcasses of their slain kin and attack. A large black wolf, this one very much alive, rises from the shadowy corner and moves slowly into the center of the chamber. The creature draws back its lips, bears a set of deadly fangs as a guttural snarl escapes from its open mouth. Suddenly the wolf rears back and rises up on 2 legs, assuming an almost humanoid posture. Its 4 legs lengthen and transform into long sinewy arms, and a red sash spans the creature's narrow waist, from which hangs a pair of long-bladed daggers. The terrifying beast turns and fixes a set of cold black eyes upon you in a leering, murderous gaze. "I'm nameless," hisses the wolf creature in a low, raspy voice. A stabbing pain shoots through your skull, and a staggering mental assault tears at your psyche. How come everything is a psychological battle in this? Your mind struggles to ward off the powerful psychic attack. Of course we fail. Crackling pain as a powerful attack deeply wounds your psyche. Miraculously you survive. The black wolf creature undergoes a rapid transformation and vertigo its previous canine state as it sinks into all fours and quickly sinks away into the shadows of the far side of the chamber. A vicious snarl from behind startles you, and you spin around to find yourself confronted by a much more immediate threat. Standing behind you, blocking the entrance to the chamber, 2 massive skeletal wolves. Without warning, one of the large undead beasts lunges at you, and its sharp fangs gnashing wildly as it attempts to clamp onto your throat. Clamp onto your throat. Wow, I'm like half dead now. The remaining wolf bounds forward and leaps at you, a savage face coming within an inch of sinking into your exposed flesh. You manage to fend off its initial frenzied assault and encounter with an attack of your own. Following your victory, you make a quick search of the broad chamber, but discover no sign of the black wolf creature. The unnerving encounter has served to reaffirm your belief that the danger facing Stonegate is more grave than you had ever anticipated. Without delay, you make your way after the cave and head hastily back to town. As you near the outskirts of Stonegate, you are met by a member of the town militia. The young man, his face streaked with sweat, grime, and blood, begs you to follow him back to town. "It does not die," he stammers, his demeanor betraying the powerful terror that grips him. "You must hurry, Allison." You do not press him for details. There is no time. Instead, you break into a run along the road, dashing back toward town. The young man following closer behind. You fear what you might find upon your return to Stonegate. He can't talk and run. This is just a trip back to town. The rising tide, in the wake of the devastating undead assault upon Stonegate, a lone hero remains standing, and upon your shoulders rests the fate of the town and its people. And anyone guesses who she might be? I think it's me. Your friendly Allison. The Undying. You turn to Stonegate's main thoroughfare, following closely behind the young militiamen. Find yourself greeted by a horrific scene. Standing in the middle of the wide lane, surrounded by the bloodied and disfigured remains of several townsfolk militia, is a tall being garbed in a ragged green cloak. The cloaked figure holds a bloody axe in its right hand as it stoops over the bodies of its victims, groping at the grotesque remains with rotting, claw-tipped fingers. Suddenly, the figure turns and faces you. A thick stream of blood runs out of the corner of its decaying mouth and drips from its fleshless chin. A horror overcomes you to realize the undead abomination is eating the corpse of the slain. Before you can react, the young man who led you back to town draws his sword and charges headlong at the horrifying ghoul. The hideous creature rises to his feet as he approaches him with a single swift stroke of his axe. He fells the young man. Well, went to your death, did ya? The vicious undead fiend steps over the young man's corpse and stalks along the thoroughfare in your direction, a wicked grin slowly spreading across its rotting face. Of course, we're gonna hit an arrow. You quickly notch an arrow and take the aim of the ghoul striding towards you. The arrow strikes the ghoul square in the chest, but the impact of the deadly missile does little to break the creature's stride. It tears a shaft from its torso, and you watch in stunned silence as the gaping wound created by the arrow rapidly closes up. In a matter of seconds, no mark remains where the arrow struck. Realizing the futility of the tipping end of the shot, you shoulder your bow and prepare to meet this grisly undead menace in melee combat. I mean, if an arrow didn't hurt it, what are you going to do with a sword? Nothing. The ghoul draws to within melee range and swipes at you with its broad-bladed axe. The deadly instrument misses your head by mere inches, and you quickly find yourself on the defenses as you attempt to counter the ghoul's savage attack. Dead. A ghastly wail escapes from the ghoul's rotting lips as the horrifying undead creature collapses to the ground at your feet. You step back from its festering remains and survey the grim scene unfolding around you. Stonegate is under attack. All throughout the town, the desperate cries of terrified townfolk mingle with the shrill shrieks of the invading undead, and large bands of the wicked creatures pile through the streets of Stonegate, slaying any bold enough to confront them. The citizens of Stonegate flee for their lives before the marauding horde of the undead, seeking the safety of the forested hills north of town. Why is that safe? Just because there's trees? You quickly come to the realization that the town and perhaps the campaign will soon be lost unless this wretched incursion can somehow be defeated. It's a sobering revelation made all the more sobering when you realize that somehow it's going to have to be you. Yep, that's what I said. Who might she be? Her name's Allison. She grew up in a small town and decided she wanted to be an adventurer. Alright, in the thick of it. We're gonna be in the thick of it. A terrified cry from the stables garners your attention. Before you've even reached the long wooden structure, you're confronted by a large band of armored skeletons. Tattered shreds of leather armor dangle from the limbs of the bone warriors as they advance upon you, their rusty blades drawn and poised to strike. A handful of frightened townsfolk cower nearby, frightfully looking on it as you move to engage the hissing skeletons. You shout to them, briskly ordering them to flee for their lives, and as you square off against the first two undead swordmen. Swordmen! All more skeletons pass forward, trampling over the bones of the fallen brethren as they cruelly hack at you with their rusted blades. Apparently drawn into the fray, swirl of the skeletons now surround you, mercilessly swiping at you with their corroded weapons. You fight for your life as the large group presses in around you. Slain. Dead. The last skeleton topples to the ground, its remains adding to the tall pile of bones now resting at your feet. You turn You turn to look back along the thoroughfare, only to find the sharp edges of the blade streaking towards your head. In amazing misled agility, you duck beneath the swift swipe of a scimitar that could easily have decapitated you. The skeleton that leveled the blow hisses and attacks. A desperate shriek again sounds from the stables. You sprint along the thoroughfare, arriving outside the open doors in a long wood instruction time to witness a pair of skeletons advancing in a group of terrified children. One of the children, a young girl whose grime-streaked face is affixed with an expression of abject horror, bravely thrusts at the approaching undead with a wooden rake. You charge into the building, stepping between the children and the skeletons. You assume a defensive stance and tell the girl to get the other children to safety. For a moment she appears to be frozen and unable to act upon your command, but she quickly regains her senses and flees from the stables, leaving the smaller children out with her. The skeletal pair hisses and attacks. Much to your dismay, a small band of skeletons appear at the entrance of the stables and begin stalking along the centre aisle of the structure, each clattering step bringing them closer to you. Weary from battle but the fight, with flight not an option, you boldly step forward to meet their advance. Yeah, we tack. You separate the remains of the skeletons and quickly make your way out of the stables and back into Stonegate's main thoroughfare. You must rid the town of these evil. On the western edge of town near the well, you encounter a group of four ghastly undead. The foul creatures remind you of the ghoul you encountered upon your return to Stonegate, and judging by the dried blood caked around their decaying lips, you have little doubt they too have been feasting upon the remains of their victim. The ghouls move upon you with a startling speed, moaning loudly at the lengthy claws rake at your flesh. You engage in a brutal fight against the first of these undead horrors. The second of the hideous ghoul elbows forward and attack. The third ghoul nearly catches you off guard with a clever, unsuspected maneuver, but you quickly recover and counter its attack. The last of the ghoul stretches its mouth wide, issuing a long mournful wail as it steps forward to engage. The flesh remains of the four ghouls lay strewn on the ground at your feet. The horrid quartet of undead will no longer play the living, but you somehow find little solace in your victory. Fatigued and questioning whether you can ultimately prevail in the fight for Stonegate, you turn to the east and cautiously make your way along the main thoroughfare. We must. The Beast Keeper. Advancing along the thoroughfare in your direction is a sight so absurdly horrific that it almost defies description. A towering skeleton as broad and as tall as any ogre tightly grips a thick length of rusted chain at the end of which strains a fearsome pair of skeletal bears. The savage creatures scratch their gaping jaws wide and unleash a series of deep bellowing roars as they catch sight of you. Their undead keeper suddenly releases his grip on the chains, and the undead bears bound along the thoroughfare towards you. The first bear reaches you and rears up into its hind legs, bellowing with rage before lunging down upon you. The second undead bear is instantly upon you, roaring as it swipes at you with a massive fleshless paws. And then you're dead. The skeletal keeper of the bears draws a long sword and rushes you with a surprising speed for its considerable bulk. The massive skeleton and its two beastly undead charges are no more. You turn your rear eye along the main thoroughfare and set off along it, hoping that your shrinking spirit will prevail against the odds that seem to be increasingly stacked against you. Yeah, we got stamina. Following the sound of someone desperately screaming for help, you rush into a small wood and stone building just off the main thoroughfare, only to discover that you have fallen prey to the well-perpetrated hoax of a most sinister design. As you step into this small structure, the door slams shut behind you. Spin around and find yourself confronted by a host of leery undead. The four rotting cadavers stagger toward you, their decaying arms outstretched, and their lengthy claws poised to sink into your flesh. "Help us! Help us!" shrieks one of the dead. His face was in an expression of mock terror. The four ghouls attack. And now they're dead, so they should have thought about it harder. The sound from behind lets you the arrival of another foe. You turn to see two more of the violent undead stepping into the room through the doorway on the far wall. The vicious pair of ghouls charges back across the room and attack as if hell-bent on preventing your escape. For a moment, your moment of victory is fleeting. From behind, a pair of clawed hands clap onto your throat and begin to throttle you. You struggle against the choking grip of your unseen assailants. Using the power of your mind, you project the powerful mental force of your enemy's fingers, prying open the gruesome digit. Free from the choking grasp, you turn to face your unknown assailant. The rotting gaunt-faced cadaver that nearly throttles you to death can be described as nothing less than a nightmare brought to life. Worms oozing out The ghoul's wound-riddled torso and a thick mane of swarming black beetles cover its festering hand. The undead abomination opened its mouth to reveal a set of decayed yellow fangs over which flicker a disease-forked tongue. With a vicious snarl, the undead abomination leaps forward and attacks. Oh, he's dead. As the ghoul's lord body strikes the floor, the teeming insects that cover its head scuttle from its perch atop its rotting scalp and begin swarming up your legs as if in an attempt to secure a new host. Overcome with horror, you desperately swat the fetid swarm, scattering them to the floor as you dash for the door. Once outside the building, you spend the next few moments ridding yourself the horror vermin before quickly moving back in the direction of the town main thoroughfare. Uh-oh. They've added another one now that I've done all those. I need more water. My throat's super dry. Only by your courageous effort has the immediate undead incursion of Stonegate been turned. You prowl the deserted streets, seeking out any remaining invaders, and when your search comes up empty, you allow yourself to at least relax your guard. For the time being, at least, it appears that the assault on the town is over. Suddenly, the hair in the back of your neck stands on end, and a sense of dread creeps over you. You turn to find yourself staring at a sight both familiar and unwoke. Standing a dozen yards from you in the middle of the Stonegate's main thoroughfare is the same black wolf creature you encountered in the caves outside of town. The creature, standing unnaturally on the bowed hind legs of a wolf, extends a long sinewy arm in your direction as it lowers its cold black eyes and locks a murderous gaze upon you. Nameless, it hisses the creature in low rasping voice. I invite death. Recalling the potency of the being's psychic attack, you steel your mind for the assault that you feel is imminent. However, it appears this formidable foe has other tactics in mind. 8 rotting figures suddenly lurched into view and sat towards you, their arms outstretched and their claw hand raking at the air. The stench of death arrives with them. As you quickly prepare to face the undead onslaught, you are again witness to the rapid transformation of the wolf creatures in its lupine form. In a matter of seconds, it has again become the black wolf. The wolf plants its gaze upon you for a brief moment before turning and lopping off along the thoroughfare. You wisely return your attention to the first 4 ghouls that are about to engage you. Then they die. The 4 slain ghouls are immediately replaced by the remaining undead. The ghouls moan loudly as they close in around you. And still they're dead. The crunch of a heavy footfall to your right serves as your only warning against the arrival of the towering ghoul. The gruesome undead begins swiping at you with its clawed hand, causing you to fall back several steps to avoid the blow. You steady yourself and move to engage the fearless undead menace. The ghoul topples over, its vesting corpse striking the ground hard, and the impact snapping its head from its neck. You spend the next few moments cautiously surveying your surroundings, half expecting to face another wave of undead, but much to your relief, nothing moves in the streets of Stonegate. Exhausted from the battle and fearful that the next attack by the undead may prove to be more than you can handle, you set out to discover the fate of Gawain, Silverfoot, the protector of Stonegate, to relate to him all that has happened and all that you discovered since last parted. Not knowing where else to look for him, you set out along the thoroughfare direction and said more in. Hey. The citizens of Stonegate have fled their homes instead of a fortified camp in the secluded part of the forest north of town, while you continue to wage a one-woman war against the invading undead. A solitary guardian. Is that me? That's nice. Following your victory over the undead tide that surged to the street of Stonegate, you set off to locate Gawain Silverfoot, hoping to find the town protector still alive. Your search takes you to the Stanmore Inn, and you're delighted to find Gawain and several others seated bound at the table in the back of the common room. The 6 men are involved in deep discussion about how to best protect the town in the wake of defeat of its militia and evacuation of its citizens. Upon seeing you, Gawain rises and makes his way unsteadily over to you, meeting you in a shoulder cross. He winces as he speaks, his agonized expression betraying the pain that still racks his body. I do not doubt that you still love Allison, he says, smiling. I would guess there is much you wish to relate to me, and I need not tell you that there remains much to be done. You tell Gawain about all that transpired since you last parted. He nods grimly at every pause, stopping you now and again to relay the information to the man seated at the table. When you finish your account, he tells you that another likely point of invasion has just been discovered. It appears that a cave from the forest north of here hosts more of the undead, he says grimly. Our citizens have evacuated and are holed up in a fortified encampment not far from the cave. They came upon this lair of the dead, they fled to the forest, while wisely set up camp a good distance from there. I can ask for your help, Allison. You assure him that you will immediately investigate the cave, and after a short rest you leave Stonegate and head into the dense forest north of town. Following Gawain's instructions, you easily find yourself On your way to the cave and from a nearby hillside, you sit and observe the surrounding area, wary for any sign of lurking undead. A sudden movement catches your eye, and you spot a large bone figure emerging from the shadowy mouth of the cave. Cautiously, you creep down the hillside to get a closer view of this new arrival. Standing outside the mouth of the cave is a thick bone skeleton of a hulking forest troll. The undead creature clutches a wooden club in its right hand, and its skull turns from side to side as it scours the surrounding forest. After observing the undead troll for several minutes, it becomes apparent that you will have to somehow deal with this menace if you enter the inner wall of the cave. I'm going to do thievery since it requires the most skill. Attempt to slip past the troll undetected. Your bold move has paid off. Using the shadows in the mouth of the cave as your cover, you slip past the unexpected creature of bone and step into the cave. Into the dark. I think that sounds like it's going to take a while, so I'm not going to start it this episode. So we're going to finish off there. We finished part 4. We started part 5. We finished part 3 because that was on part 3. So just undead hordes are showing up to fight. Obviously there's another shadow gate somewhere. They won't let me use shadow magic because I wasn't supposed to learn shadow magic, so the Proving Grounds 5, but it's what it is. Yeah, so we'll get into that next episode. Hopefully we'll get through part 6 and 7 as well. And go on from there. However long it takes is however long it takes. So thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. Till next time, you know what I'm gonna say. Peace. Peace, peace, peace.